All right, this video is going to be a walkthrough tutorial that's going to assist you with completing your Unit 2 project, your website with a purpose. So the first thing I want to do before we jump into creating our project is I want to talk a little bit about the requirements. So as a reminder, here are the big requirements for your Unit 2 project. First, your project should be 3 different web pages that are linked together into a cohesive website. Your page altogether should have at least 3 images, and those can be spread across your 3 pages. You should have at least one CSS class, so that means one element in your project should be styled differently than the others. And you should have at least 10 CSS style rules and at least 15 HTML tags. All right, so altogether, these requirements are pretty easy to meet once we get moving, but this is what your project needs to have. Now, we talked in class about topics for your project, and your topic can be literally anything you would like it to be. I chose to make my project about my favorite city, Barcelona, Spain. So previously in class, we have filled out this project planning guide. If you don't have your copy and need a copy, remember, you can find a copy that you can print in Canvas. So I'm going to very quickly review my exemplar and talk a little bit about what my project will be about. So my webpage is going to be an informational website about Barcelona, Spain. On our planning guide, we had to kind of describe the style for the 3 pages that we're going to make up our website. So for mine, I have my index to start with. Now, every project is going to have an index. So when you look at your planning guide, it'll automatically have index.html in here. Your index is going to be the page that first pops up whenever you click on your link. So think of it like your homepage. All right. So I said my index is going to be my homepage and have some background information like Barcelona's location, for example. My other pages, I'm going to have 2 different pages about Barcelona that link off of that homepage. One is going to be about the culture of Barcelona. So I'm going to put some information about the language and the food. And then the other page is going to be about attractions in Barcelona. So it'll have information about La Sagrada Familia, which is a church in Barcelona, or a Catholic church, and La Rambla, which is a famous street in Barcelona. The table also asked me to describe the style. So I said I wanted blue background. I wanted my headings to have white backgrounds and gray borders. I wanted my webpage to be center aligned. I want my images to be floated to the left. And I wanted my images to have dark blue borders. All right. So these were some of the style details that I chose. And then I then sketched out how I wanted my page to look. All right, this is really, kind of important for you to have a concept of before you start. You want to know what your 3 pages are roughly going to look like. It's going to make your programming a lot easier. Now, you are welcome to pick maybe your own favorite city and create a website that has a similar format. Like maybe you tell me about the culture of your favorite city and the attractions there. And you can kind of follow a similar format for how you set up your website. I'm totally okay with that. But if you want to kind of branch off and do your own ideas too, that's great. But this tutorial will be focusing on this basic design. All right. On the back, it had a spot for you to record information about the images you found. So I found 3 images in preparation for starting my project. One is a map of Barcelona, and I recorded, the information about my author, my source, and the license. If you need more information about how to find images, please look at my previous linked video on finding images. Tutorial will walk you through all of it. All right, so now that I've done this planning piece and I have an idea for what my project is going to be, now I can head to code.org and I can actually start programming. All right, so I'm in code.org. I'm in lesson 20. Now, code.org, initially they wrote the curriculum for this to be a group project. I decided to not make it a group project, so you don't have to pay a lot of mind to the instructions that are up here at the top panel. You can really pick any level of lesson 20 and just start programming your project, right? You don't even have to leave that level. You can stay on that level the whole time. So I'm on level 2. I'm going to start here. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have all of my files set up here along the left-hand side. And I'm going to start by putting in my images first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that Add Image button. See, it's taking a minute to think. There we go. And I'm going to click on the upload file, orange button, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to start selecting one by one the files that I want to use for my project. So I've got to find those names. All right. La Rambla. I remember that was one of my images. I'm going to upload another one. There we go. Pintos. All right. And there was one more. Barcelona map. All right. Once I have my 3 pictures and I can see their thumbnails here, they're in my project, I'm going to go ahead and X that out. And they'll appear over here on the left-hand side. There they are. So Barcelona map, La Rambla, Pinto. Now what I want to do is I want to add the other things I need for my project, mainly the other 2 pages in addition to my index. So up here at the top, there's a button that says Add HTML. I'm going to go ahead and click that button 2 times to add 2 additional pages. So if you remember, index, every single project is going to have an index. That's what opens up when you go to your URL. It's not going to allow me to rename it. Okay, so it's going to stay index, but I am going to go off of what I put in my planning guide and create culture.html and attractions.html by just renaming those other 2 HTML files I added. So culture, and the other one was attractions. Okay, so now I have all of the major components that I need. So I'm going to start off at my index and I'm going to begin building my page. So one of the common mistakes I saw students make is that they were putting code all throughout their starter code. Some were writing code down here at the bottom. Some were putting code up here at the top. Remember that all of your content code goes in between the opening and closing body tags. So that's actually where I am going to start. And I'm going to start off with my main heading for my first page. And I'm checking out my sketch here. Barcelona. All right. So I want to make a nice big heading that just says Barcelona. So I'm going to make that an H1. And put my opening and closing tag there. Remember that the code you use for a heading is the letter H. The smaller the number next to that H, the larger that heading is going to be. So I've got the largest heading, Barcelona. All right. And really, I'm just going to focus first on putting in my HTML. Then I'm going to go back later and I'm going to add my style. All right. So now that I have that, I can see also on that page, I also have an image. This would be my map of Barcelona. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and go to a new line. And I'm going to type in that image tag, right? So to create an image, I'm going to be using the code IMG, and I'll zoom in for you here, space SRC equals, and then in quotation marks, I'm going to put the name of the image that I want to use. In this case, I know that it was barcelona-map.png. All right. After that, I'm going to hit a space. I'm going to type ALT equals. And in quotations, I'm going to describe what's going on in the image. So in this case, a map of Barcelona. Make that a capital B since it's a city. All right. Then I'm going to put my greater than symbol to close out that tag. And when I zoom out, you'll see the image has appeared right here. All right. Underneath that image, I'm going to be putting attribution information. So I'm going to skip a line and I'm going to put P for paragraph. And I'm going to go ahead and look at my guide here for that picture, Barcelona-map, and put in this information. So Seymour, don't know how to pronounce that, but best I can do. All right, so for my paragraph, I'm going to put the author. All right, Seymour, dash, my source, Wikimedia Commons. Yours should be Wikimedia Commons as well. And then the license information, I can see that it is CC Creative Commons, BY, attribution, SA, share alike. So I'm going to type exactly what I have there. All right. And then I'm going to close out that paragraph. Okay, so underneath my picture, now I have my attribution down here. All right, I'm going to keep it moving. So the content that I had here was, let's see, I said, welcome to Barcelona, Spain, a city known for its beauty, architecture, food, and culture. To learn more, click below. Okay, so I'm going to add kind of a rough approximation of that beneath as another paragraph. And maybe I'll actually put that underneath my picture since I plan on floating it. If you plan on floating, actually, no, I don't plan on floating it. I think I'm going to keep it really simple for the sample project. Okay, so I'm going to go and create a new paragraph, and I'm going to go ahead and type that. Welcome to beautiful Barcelona, Spain, a city known for its beauty, culture, and attractions. To learn more about the city, click below. And I'll close out that paragraph. All right, you'll notice everything I'm putting here inside the body has opening and closing tags. All right, so there is my paragraph right here. And then the last thing I have to add, it says I'm going to click below to learn more about the city. So remember, I've got 2 other pages I need to link to, culture and attractions. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place links to those 3 things. So to create a link, our tag is going to be lowercase a, and this is the code that we use. So we're going to start off with the less than symbol and the letter lowercase a, space, href, equals, and then the page we want to send them to in quotation marks. So in this case, I'm going to send them, I'm going to make this my home link. So I'm going to put index.html greater than. Now I'm going to put what word I want that to appear for my link. In this case, it's going to be the word home, all capital letters. And then I'm going to put my closing A tag. All right. So now that I have created that, if I go look at my preview, now I can see the link for home. Now I'm going to make a line break. All right. And I'm going to create my next link. This one is going to be to my culture page. So I'm going to follow that same process. Less than a, href equals, in quotation marks, culture.html greater than, culture, all capital letters, and my closing tag. So now right beneath it, I've got a link to send me to the culture page. And then I'll do another line break. And the last one. This one is going to send me to attractions. And my closing tag. All right. So now I've got, if we look at my preview, I have all the components I need for my homepage. I've got Barcelona. I've got my picture. If I scroll down further, I've got my attribution information, a welcoming paragraph, and then links to all 3 of my pages. Now, this code that I use to create those links, this is like my navigation bar, and I can use this exact same code on the other pages. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this code that I just created. And I'm going to go to my attractions page. I'm going to click in between the opening and closing body tag. Go ahead and paste it. I'm going to do the same thing for my culture page. I'm going to go in between the opening and closing body tag. I'm just going to paste it. All right. Now I'm going to put more stuff in front of that or on top of that. But for now, it doesn't hurt to have it there ready to go. All right. So homepage index is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to, we'll say, the culture page. All right. So if I go back to my sketch for my culture page, I want to talk about the language and the food. So Barcelona culture is my main heading. And then I've got 2 subheadings for language, food, a picture, a couple paragraphs. All right. So Barcelona culture, I'm going to start there. So I'm going to go give myself some space above that navigation bar. And I'm going to go ahead and put my main heading at the top. Make that an H1. And because I'm on the culture page, I'll make my heading Barcelona culture. Put my closing H1 tag. There we go. Underneath that, I'm going to go ahead and put my next picture. All right, this is actually no picture yet, because if I look at my sketch, the picture actually is under the second subheading. So we're going to start off with a subheading for language. I'll make that maybe an H3, because remember, the higher the number, the smaller the heading. Language, closing tag. All right. And I learned from my research that people in Barcelona speak Spanish and Catalan. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. The people of Barcelona speak Spanish and Catalan. All right. Now I'm going to create my second subheading. This was food. All right, so another subheading. And from my sketch, pintos are bite-sized snacks found in tapas restaurants. All right, so make a paragraph for that. All right. Okay, so now I've got my two headings and subheadings. I also had a picture here, I think. I've got a picture of pintos. So I'm going to put that right underneath my heading. So I'll go to food and I'll type in that image tag. All right, do you remember it from the first page? It is IMG space SRC equals the picture in quotation marks. In this case, it is Pintos JPG. ALT equals, and then a description of the image. Pintos at a tapas bar. Make sure I don't forget that greater than symbol to close out that image tag. All right. Great. And then I have my navigation bar at the end because I already copied and pasted that code. All right. So this page, now it's done. Last, we're going to move on to attractions. Okay. So I think the attractions page had a really similar format to the last one. I've got a main heading, two subheadings, a picture, two paragraphs. So Barcelona attractions at the top. I'm just going to be following that same format. Give myself a little space in the body. H1. Barcelona attractions. All right. First subheading was La Sagrada Familia. That was in H3 if I'm following the same format as my other page. My closing tag. Hopefully you're getting the hang of this now. All right. My paragraph. What did I say here? La Sagrada Familia is a famous Catholic church, always under construction. All right. My next subheading was La Rambla. Oops. So that's an H3. All right. I think I want my picture to be right underneath that, right? Because I've got a picture of La Rambla. So I'm going to go ahead and use my image tag here. Do you remember how to create an image tag? IMG, SRC equals the name of our image. In this case, it is La Ramblas JPG. Space Alt equals and a description of the image. La Ramblas on a sunny day. And then close out my tag and the picture has appeared. Awesome. All right. And the last thing I need is my paragraph. Oh, I need to make sure I have attribution. I forgot that. So let's make sure we put that in. The La Rambla picture. Nikos Roussos. All right, we got it from Wikimedia Commons. And I think the license was the same as the other, CC BY SA. And close our paragraph. All right, I'm going to put my description here. La Ramblas is a busy street in the city center. And close my paragraph. All right, I think we're just about done here. So we have our navigation bar down here. Oh, we want to go back to our culture page and make sure underneath that image tag, here it is right here, we're going to go ahead and put a paragraph underneath that giving attribution to the person who took that picture from my table. Hakan, and what was the second word here? Gonenli. Okay. Our source, of course, was Wikimedia Commons. And the license was Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike, same as the other ones. And close out that paragraph. Okay, so now we have all of the HTML components for our project. All right, we've made all 3 pages. We made them real simple, right? Let's make sure we're on track for our what's required so far. So we have at least 3 pages that are linked together. Yes. We have at least 3 images. Yes. Now we have at least 15 HTML tags. Yes. We've got more than that if we go back and count. The last thing we really need to worry about is using a class and using our style rules. So we want to add something to our project, make it more interesting to look at. So if you remember those details that I wrote down, all of my pages are basically going to have the same style. I want to start off by making a blue background. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll look at our index. All right, let's go to style.css on the left-hand side, which should be totally blank. And we're going to go ahead and start writing some CSS style rules. And the first thing I said was I wanted a blue background. So if we want to change the background color of our project, we're going to be writing a rule set for the body selector. Okay, so we're writing it for the body because if we look at our code, body includes everything that is visible on our web page. So we want this to apply to all visible parts of our web page. So I'm going to put body for my selector, curly bracket. I'm going to hit enter to put a space in between. And then I'm going to write my property and value. So to change background color, I use the property background dash color. Then I'm going to put a colon and then put whatever the value is. In this case, I'll put light blue. It's a pretty shade. Okay, great. So now that I have that light blue, I'm going to move on to what's next. Okay, so I also said the headings are going to have white backgrounds and gray borders. All right, so I'm talking about my main headings right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I remember from my code, those main headings are H1s. So my selector for my next rule set is going to be H1. I'm going to put my curly brackets and hit enter to create a space. Now I'm going to add a background color, background dash color, colon, and I'm going to put white, semicolon. All right, so now when I refresh and save, I'll see that that heading has that white background. Okay, we're not done with it yet. So I also said that I wanted my headings to have gray borders. So borders are a great way to add a whole bunch of rule sets to your project and a bunch of rules to your project to help make up those 10 different ones. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to add another property value pair. And I'm going to add border dash style. This will allow me to select a type of border that I want to go around my image. And I think I'm going to try groove and see how that looks. All right, if I zoom in, that looks pretty good. All right, so now that I've selected a border style, make sure I don't forget that semicolon. Now I'm going to add some more details. So I'm going to change the border color and make sure that it's gray. I'm going to also change the border width. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. Let me see what happens if I make it 5px. I'm going to hit refresh and save so I can see it. Okay, 5px. Maybe I want it to be a little bit more than that. Let me try 10px. All right, good. All right, I like the way that that looks. That looks fantastic. All right. I also said, I think on my plan here, that I want it to be center aligned. All right. Now, center alignment, this is something that's going to kind of apply to the whole entire document, or maybe I just want it to apply to my H1. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and hit text align, colon, center. Refresh and save, and now it goes to the center. All right, so it looks pretty good so far. Something else that I said I wanted for my project, I said that the images will have dark blue borders and be floated to the left. So now I'm going to write a rule set for my images. Now, just like I used H1 for my large heading tag and body to apply to everything visible, what I use for a heading is the same thing that I put at the very beginning of an image tag. IMG is going to be my selector here. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new one for IMG, curly bracket. And I'm going to do the same stuff I did with borders earlier. I'm going to do border style. Maybe this time I'll pick a different one. I'll do dotted. I'm going to change my border color to dark blue. Don't want to forget my semicolon. And I'm going to change the border width to, again, I think I'm probably going to try maybe 15px, 15 pixels, see how that looks. Let me refresh and save and see where we are so far. Looks interesting. Great. Okay. Now, something else I see going on is it looks like my picture is kind of big, maybe bigger than I want it to be in this project. So I can change the size of my image by adjusting, with a rule set. I can change either the height or the width. Now, in this case, I think I probably want to change the width. That's usually easier for me to picture. So I'm going to go ahead and use width as a property. And I'm going to change the value to a certain number of pixels. If you're doing it this way, I would suggest maybe somewhere around 350 pixels for a web page. All right, and that makes my picture look like that. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so I've got my image, I've got my attribution, and then I have my paragraph. Now, something else that I don't know how I feel about it is I feel like this paragraph down here, like I like the size of the attribution, but I feel like the paragraph maybe should be a little bit bigger. Maybe even my heading should be a little bit bigger. So I can actually use classes, which is another requirement for my project in order to do that. So I'm going to go to my index and I'm going to use some classes to maybe change the way the heading and some of the text looks. Let me start off with my heading. So if I want this heading to look special, actually, let me see if that's even necessary. Might not even be necessary. I can just go ahead and come in here to my H1 rule set and I can change my font size. And I can make it something bigger. I can try 40 pixels. Let me see what that looks like. Maybe not. What does 100 pixels look like? Oh, that's really big. Okay. So maybe not quite that big. 40 seems like what it already was. Maybe 75. That looks pretty good. I like the way that that looks. All right. So I can do that. Now I want to change the size of the paragraph. Now this I can use classes for. So if I go back to my index, right, I can go to my paragraph tag where I say, welcome to beautiful Barcelona. And I can create a class for this and call it whatever I want. In this case, I'm going to call this class I'm just going to call it text because I want this to apply to anywhere I've written paragraphs. I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I put class equals text right after the P in my opening tag for whatever I want to include in this class. All right. And I can go to my style sheet, and now I can write a rule set for dot text. Okay. I just put a dot in front of whatever I called the class, curly brackets, just like before. And I can write specific rules that will apply to this paragraph. So maybe I want to make the font dash size closer to what the heading was before, like 40px. Now, whenever I refresh and save, that paragraph should be a little bit bigger than my attribution. And I like the way that that looks, right? I think that looks pretty good. So I want to keep it that way. All right. Now, you'll notice if I look at my other two pages, right, my index looks great. It looks just the way that I want it to. But if I look at my other two pages, they look really plain. There's nothing exciting going on here. They don't look good at all. They haven't taken on any of those rules. So why isn't it working? Well, if you look back at my index, the reason why my index is following the rules that I've written in my style sheet is because I've included the link tag up here in between the opening and closing head tag. So we talked about how, in addition to writing rules on your style sheet, you have to make sure your HTML document is reading that style sheet and applying those rules. And this is what we call metadata, and it belongs up here in between the opening and closing head tag. In fact, it's the only thing that we've learned about yet that goes up there. All right. So in order to make my other pages follow those same rules, I'm going to go ahead and copy that link tag, and I'm going to paste it in between the opening and closing head tag on my other two pages. There you go. Barcelona culture and Barcelona attractions. I'm going to paste it here as well. All right, great. So now they're following the rules as well. All right. I am noticing that my text is small on these pages. That's because I have not put that class statement in my paragraph tags on these other two pages. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to find anywhere I've got a paragraph that I want to be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to put class equals text. I'm going to do the same thing here in this paragraph. Class equals quote text. All right. So now you can see, because I've included them in that class, they have also gotten a little bit bigger. All right. I'm going to do the same thing for my culture page. Class equals text. And down here, class equals text. You'll notice I'm not putting it where I give attribution because I want that to stay the same size. I'm also noticing that my subheadings, maybe they don't look the way that I want them to look because I haven't seen them yet. I think maybe I want to write a rule set for my H3s to make those look nice. So I'm going to write one more for my H3 subheadings. And I'm going to give them the same white background color. I'm going to make them center aligned. Right. And I'm also going to add a border to them. So just like I did with my H1, I'm going to copy my border style, my border color, and my border width. So I copied those with Control C, and now I'm going to paste. All right. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my index. And now I'm going to test everything out on my web page. I'm going to make sure my home button works, culture. Great. I'm going to make sure attractions link works. Go back home. Awesome. All right. So all of my links are working. Everything looks the way I want it to. I'm going to go back to my requirements and double check. So I have 3 pages. They are linked together. I have 3 images. I have at least one CSS class. If you remember, we made that text class to make our paragraphs a little bit bigger. I have at least 10 CSS style rules and at least 15 HTML tags. And if you look On my style sheet, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have way more than I need. All right. So I've met all the requirements for my project. The last step is going to be turning it in. So to turn it in, you need to make sure that you share your link with me on Canvas. Here's how you do it. On your project, you're going to go up here to where it says share and click that one time. You're going to see a purple copy link to project button. That is going to go ahead and copy the link to your project to your clipboard. Okay. Once you've copied your link, you're going to go to Canvas and find your assignment. It should be under Unit 2, Lesson 20. Your second classwork assignment will have a space for you to go in and put in that link. All right. And once you do, go ahead and submit it, turn it in, you're good to go. All right. So I hope this project helps some of you guys get it done. If you have any questions, feel free to still reach out via email. And I can't wait to see what you create.